Welcome back once again, my worthy Jarls of the gaming community. Today we bask in the glory of battle as we explore the unknown and defend our home in a roguelike, survival, wave-based defense Viking ARPG that has more flavors than your aunt's Long Island iced tea and an awkward family reunion. If this grouping of genres is something that you didn't think was going to go together, then you're not alone, but we're going to see how they do with our review of the newly released Tribes of Midgard. Welcome back to Drunky Indie, everybody. My name's Drunky, and this is our weekly indie review by our Skip. Our goal here on Buy or Skip is that by the end of this video, you'll have my opinion on enough information to know whether or not you should buy or skip any given game. And if you enjoy this review and you find it helpful while you're watching, let us know in the comment section below. And if you're new here to Drunky Indie, don't forget to subscribe and become part of our community. This is Tribes of Midgard, and here's my review. Tribes of Midgard is a massive blending of so many genres, but most notably, it's an action survival roguelike. It was developed by Northfell and published by Gearbox Publishing. This Viking adventure was released July 27th, 2021, and you can find Tribes of Midgard on the PS4, the PS5, and the PC. The version that I played came off of Steam. Our first category, story. There are two things in gaming that I don't need a ton of story for to make them worthwhile for me to play: the roguelike genre, and any game that sets me up as a Viking to smash and slay my way to Valhalla. So when it comes to Tribes of Midgard, more than most roguelites that I play, the story just really isn't there. And if it was, as I sat down to write this review, I couldn't really remember a bit of story that was really told to me. The whole setup for the game is that every night a bunch of spirits comes to your village and they try to destroy your seed of Yggdrasil, the tree that sits in the middle of your said village. Also, for some reason, there are these massive giants called Jotuns that come every few days to try and do the same. I really forget why they're trying to do everything. I'm sure they told it to me one time, but I'm just trying to explain to you why the story just doesn't feel there. It's really just not harped on. This thing feels fresh every time you play, and you're just kind of starting anew. There's no real story to bring you back, similar to things like Hades, where you would have a reason that you came back, you know what I mean? But basically everyone hates you here in this world, which I guess is enough story for me. Up next, graphics. If there is one element of this game that's outside of the gameplay itself that really makes it enjoyable and makes me want to come back for hours on end, it's the graphics. The style and the palettes of Tribes of Midgard is just absolutely beautiful. The art team over at Northfell really are able to strike this almost comic feeling style to their art, and they use these deep saturated colors and a bit of cel shading. If this game could remind me of any other game, I would say it would be similar to Hades. Once again, I know I brought it up just a little bit ago, but the art style really does kind of invoke that Hades feeling, but they strike their own unique vision with it too. One of the real standouts in this game for me visually comes down to the spells that are being cast. From the minions that are shooting the spells inside of your base to their larger Jotun cousins, the visual effects in this game are just downright stunning. The weakest areas of this game would come down to the bugginess of some of the animations. There are times that the enemy's walk cycle doesn't feel like it's really timed properly, and the wolves in particular had a great bug where they would essentially just be floating on top of your character's head while you ran around, seemingly bugged out until you just swung and killed them. They were all just these little tiny things that eventually added up in the animation department that kind of took you out of it. And although some of the aspects of the graphics do break your immersion, the more you play Tribes of Midgard, the more you begin to really appreciate just how talented the team at Northfell is and how much love they actually put into the graphics of this game. For our next category, let's talk gameplay. In the beginning of this review, I listed a variety of genres that this game has blended together to create something that is unique all unto its own. And none of that was really stretching it at all. Tribes of Midgard really does pull from the genres of roguelike, ARPG, survival, base defense, and combines them in a way that I just did not think was possible. And really is because why would you ever think to put those together in the first place? But the team over at Northfell carved out their own lane in a crowded roguelike space with this game. Oh, and to top all of that off with all those genres, this game can be played up with 10 players at a time, 9 of your friends and you together on the same map. It's kind of insane. So let's start with the basics. This game's law state is in its base building and wave defense, and the seed of Yggdrasil. I know I'm just messing that word up. I apologize to anyone who speaks this language. It's the Yggdrasil. It's the large gorgeous tree in the middle of your village, right? And at all costs this tree must be protected. You as a player can die and you can be revived as many times as your talent dictates, but once this tree's hit points hit 0, it's game over. Tribes of Midgard has a day and night cycle, and every night there's a handful and sometimes an army of spirits that will come in and try to destroy this tree in your base. This problem is compacted by the spawning of huge bosses called the Utens, who are on the same mission as the spirits, except instead of spawning at your base, they spawn on kind of the edge of the map, and they go to the scenic route around your base. And unlike the spirits, who take about 3 to 4 hits to kill, these Utens take about 100. But don't be too afraid, as you can kind of build up your base a little bit to defend against the tree. Your village comes equipped with 4 merchants who can all be upgraded to higher levels to help defend your base. There's also gates that you can build and archer towers to help defend those gates. All of these elements can be upgraded with resources that you collect from around the world. Starting out in Tribes of Midgard is a bit daunting, but the game really begins to open up when you begin to explore and let your tree take a bit of damage as you trade for more exploration. This leads us to the next portion of the game, survival. Now, Tribes of Midgard does not have a overly punishing mechanics from the survival genre, but what you will need to do is to manage your character's temperature, whether it's too hot or too cold for him to be there. Also, you have to collect resources from around the world to upgrade your base, and you can do this from felling trees, from mining iron, from slaughtering pigs. Everything in this world must be collected, and doing so will allow you to upgrade your base and craft new equipment for your character. As much as this game is a base building wave defense game, it's also an ARPG. Crafting is a huge portion of this game. Creating new weapons and armors for your character is going to be massively important, and it dictates how far out of the base you can actually explore. Equipping a new sword will give you additional power level that is needed to explore new areas that have new unique resources, so you can rinse and repeat this cycle. Along with an equipment management, you will also be managing your character's level and class. This game comes with 8 character classes for you to decide on at an early level in each run. Each class has their own unique skill trees for you to explore, and they really do dictate how you can play the game. Some classes are more suited to direct combat, while others are more worthwhile for exploring. Whatever your cup of tea is when it comes to the fighting styles, the class system in Tribes of Midgard will most likely have you covered. This is a deep pool of classes that is really great for changing up your playstyle as a solo player, which I am, but I could also see how this system lends itself to the co-op playthroughs for this game, letting so many people in your group come around with different classes to really come together as a team. Finally, we can talk about this game being a roguelike to round out its gameplay. As to be expected, this world is procedurally generated every time you play. Aside from the layout of your village, everything else in this world map is fully unique in its layout every time you begin a new world. From the way the land masses are formed down to their biomes, the treasure placements, and which bosses will spawn every few days, nothing is similar, and every run is a new challenge for you to figure out. All in all, this genre-bending game mashes up a lot of really great ideas from different genres into something that really feels fresh. My only complaint in its gameplay is that I wish it had something more to hook me into every run, an overall goal that gives me more of a greater purpose to come back to. Next up, sound. So when talking about the sound design for this game, I feel like it almost matches everything else in this review. That it has this sense of familiarity, the sense that you've heard and been here before, but in itself, Tribes of Midgard's soundtrack and sound effects feel like you're in their world. The music for this game goes from being very small and very intimate when you're in your village, even having a portion of the game where the soundtrack kind of dips out altogether. Then you're in these huge battles where the drums are just thumbing and the strings are just thumbing. It feels huge, it feels epic. It almost feels like a Lord of the Rings game at times. It has that grand nature of it, a grand Viking soundtrack for you to play through. It's really magical. The soundtrack was really impressive in this game. And I would say in the same sense, the sound effects also live up to that idea. While the ideas of arrows being shot and swords being swung, we've heard that before, but in this game, they really do make it feel once again like it is their world. And one of the huge standouts for me would be the Utens themselves, these huge giant creatures. Their footsteps alone just felt so huge, and they had such bass and echo to them that it really felt like they were vibrating your whole body, even though it was just the sound. It was pretty wonderful to listen to. So the sound design, while not the most unique aspects of any game really at this point of game development, Tribes of Midgard, the soundtrack and the sound effects really do deliver. They do their job well. Finally, replayability. I know this feels weird for a gaming review, so stay with me for a little bit. But when it comes to cooking, I always feel like when someone doesn't know what to do with their recipe, they just add bacon. It's a cheat code that will get most anyone liking what you're about to make. This is a case for about everything added into Tribes of Midgard. When making a roguelike game that is already by definition replayable, they went ahead and added 3 different types of bacon to the game. Here's some survival to make your playthrough different. Oh, here's some wave defense game that makes you want to come back. Their genre blending has done such a good job that they created a game that has more replayability than just about any other game on the market. And unlike other roguelike games that are meant to be played by yourself, Tribes of Midgard smacks the idea out of the window. You can invite your buddies to this, and they have more unique experiences for you than you'll ever see in a roguelike game, I think, ever. Playing solo, I easily clocked in around 20 hours in this game, and I can see myself really wanting to come back when the new seasons come out and wanting to go deeper into the game. And I said it earlier in this review, but the only thing that's really missing for me in the replayability department is this grander idea of a goal that I can be working towards outside of my actual playthroughs. I want to be building my character more outside of the game that would affect the actual runs themselves. And it's really hard for me to knock the game for not having that type of hook when I'm already playing it as much as I am, but the thought still persists and I could see it being an issue for certain players. Buy or skip, Tribes of Midgard. This game is a wonderful mashup of so many genres. It almost feels like they have created an entirely new genre all to their own. It will have you wrapped up for hours, but it can be punishing for the solo player. So if you do have a group of people willing to play with you, I say absolutely pick it up. But as yourself playing as a solo player, Tribes of Midgard is a cautious buy. Alright, there we go. There is our review for Tribes of Midgard. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope that you found it helpful on whether you're not going to buy the game or not. If you did find it helpful, make sure you leave a like on the video on your way out. And if you want to leave a dislike, feel free to do so, but also leave a comment down below and let me know why you disliked the video, just so I kind of figure out what I'm doing wrong for you, alright? If this is your first time here, make sure you leave a subscription for us so you come back for all the rest of our reviews. And that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.